Graduated with an English degree. What'd you do after
Yep.
college?
Well, first of all, I worked at Outdoor Trails in Lynchburg, Virginia, making $6 an hour selling shoes to people that don't need hiking shoes. And it was it was like I was pretty lost. And I had some friends that were going to Alaska to teach high school.
Mhm.
And, so I was like, okay, maybe I should get my teaching certificate and go on a big adventure like this. I was kind of drawn to adventure. But it's like, I don't know, I couldn't work it out. It's like every other English major, it's like, I'll just go to graduate school. And I was just spinning my wheels. And then Mars Hill started. So the story of Mars Hill is, I mean, complex and long, but Rob worked for my dad. And
Right. That's right. I forgot
yes,
about that.
so a lot of people forget about this. And so my dad had started Saturday night,
And we're
which
talking
was,
the 80s
yes,
because your fought
90s.
your because Rob was talking to Plantinga and Mao and a bunch of these guys at Calvin. Because I remember hearing, rumors of these things. Because again, Grand Rapids, very leaky place,
Hmm.
very active grapevine, especially in the Christian Reformed Church. But please go on. That's right.
Yeah.
Rob Bell was working for your father. Oh
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So he was like the big deal, the pastoral intern for my dad. And my dad would like put him up on Sunday night and he'd give a sermon and then he started teaching more at Saturday night, which is like the seeker service. And that's actually how I met Rob. My dad was like, "Oh, you got to meet this guy." And we met. And really the first time we were ever together, Rob, he's really a talented person and he's also a musician. And so he wanted to play some song, like some U2 song. I Will Follow. I don't know if you know this song from War, the album. And so that was like the open. And so he's like, "Oh, Kent, you come and sing." Cause I'm into music and stuff. And so we like did this little number together and, which is really awkward. Like when I look back at the seeker sensitive service, it's like, let's play a secular song. And then like
That
people are
that
supposed
was
to,
that was radical
it was
innovation.
mind blowing. It was totally mind blowing. But so anyway, then Rob and I became friends. And so I was in Virginia. My dad said, we're going to start this church and we're going to help plant Mars Hill. And I just didn't want to miss out. I called Rob and I was like, I think I'm going to come up and, and I didn't know what to do. And I didn't actually think I'm going to go up there and work for Mars Hill or something. I just thought, hey, let's do something interesting and meaningful. We were really reading Dallas Willard. By the way, this is like a
Yeah.
thread. Like if you start getting into
Yeah.
what birthed these places, like it was Dallas Willard. It's like, oh
Yeah.
wait, we can put praxis in front of like just hard and cold ideas.
Yeah.
And what if we actually lived this way? And I was really inspired by Dallas Willard, and we carried that book up with us, and we were all reading it in the early days of Marcel. And so,
Yeah.
but in the first 2 weeks after I listened to the music, and I was like, this is really bad, and I was kind of a jerk to be honest, but I had like a catalog of songs that I had gotten from my friend Scott Baker. He was a songwriter in Virginia, actually a professor at Liberty, and we were friends. And he was writing really legitimate songs. I stand on that today.
Mhm.
These are off the charts, good, religious, sacred songs done in a new way. It's all scripture, like just put to music. Great stuff. And I could barely play the guitar. And Rob said, "Well, you do it." And then that started that whole thing. And that's actually the spirit of Mars Hill. It was like, you
Mm.
have an idea, go for it. And it'll rise and fall.
Yeah.
We'll see if it works. And
Yeah.
so like the first two Sundays, I'm like, I don't even know what key I'm in. I don't know all the chords. And that eventually turned into a job. So I did that for 4 years, um, until I got interested in Israel and biblical studies. And we can open that door if you want, but, I
Well,
want to
I'm
say
told
some,
Rob
go
Bell's
ahead.
first sermon series was on the Book of Leviticus.
Okay, it's true. And part of that was like, let's do something insane that no one would do.
Right.
That was kind of like Rob's vibe.
Yep.
And it was like, I look back now, and it was like the heaviest atonement theology you can possibly think of. Every week was about blood. We had like fake blood, and we were lighting things on fire, and he and I were going back and forth. Like he would come up with like this ridiculous sermon, and I would like try to play like the music with it, and it was just like, how are we going to top this next week? That was like the
Ah,
vibe. I'm serious. It was really
I,
fun.
I totally
Um,
get it.
yeah. But yeah, he started with Leviticus, and here's maybe a thread that I haven't heard on your on your channel yet. And I'm not saying this is true of the emergent movement in general, because I don't know if Marcel is really even part of it, but here were our influences. Rob and I and others were reading a book called Our Father Abraham by Dwight Pryor. I think that's his name, or you'd have to look that up. I
Huh.
might be confusing Dwight Pryor, who we became friends with the author of this book, but you can probably find it if you're Googling it now. Our Father Abraham.
Oh, Amazon will,
Oh yeah, it'll
find books. Our Father Abraham. There's one by Marvin Wilson.
that's it. That's it.
All right.
Yep. Okay. So this book, there was like um this organization called First Fruits of Zion. This is like a Jewish roots, kind of like a Jews for Jesus type of thing. And they were like in the congregation and floating around these essays. And I'm telling you, the first few years, and this is what got me interested in historical Jesus stuff. And like what were we doing? We were saying, well, forget the Reformation, forget the church fathers. Let's just go
Right.
all the way back,
Right.
classic,
Yep.
let's do it the way they did it then, except we were like, holy crap, Jesus was Jewish and the festivals and like it was like mind blowing for the entire congregation and also for us on the inside. Like anyway, that's like it started something and and Ray Vanderlaan, I
Yeah.
don't you're
He
probably
was my
familiar.
high school Bible teacher in
Okay,
New
there you go.
Jersey.
So
I know, Ray.
so I went on a trip with him. That's how I got interested in Israel. But like his stuff was like, making its way in and um so definitely Jewish roots at the beginning and kind of like a really serious attention to every detail in Leviticus chapter 16. Let's go verse by verse and what does the Hebrew say um, and what's the symbol? We wouldn't have used that language, but what's the symbol here? What's the symbol of the scapegoat doing here? And how is this? Actually, it is like the church fathers, like reading kind of like the um, archetypal dimensions of Christ hidden in the text. That's basically what we were up to. And, people just thought this was like revolutionary
Yeah.
at the time. So that was like the early days of Marcel, and that's how I got interested in biblical studies. Yeah.